All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Designing New Dragons. Join me as we create possibly your favorite new character. Or we create a monstrosity that no one ever wants to see again. Who knows? Continuing with the system that we used last week, the Talisman Adventures system. We're going to be building a few more characters in it. Like I said when we were doing the Cypher system, I really don't think building a single character gives us a good feeling for the system itself. And I like to try different things. I like to see kind of the range of stuff we have. So we are again going to be building a character, but last time we literally went through like chapter 6, character creation advancement. We literally just went there and followed the directions there. This time we're going to try and be a little bit more freeform and maybe do some differences and stuff. So before we can do that, however, we need a character sheet. So normally, according to the book here, you are supposed to start by choosing your ancestry, then choose your class, then your alignment, and then all your attributes and stuff like that. Well, this time I want to start with the class and kind of work around that because there's quite a few classes that I think could be a little bit more interesting. And classes that I probably wouldn't normally play is what I'm looking for right now. And I think right now I'm kind of torn between the Minstrel and the Prophet. Mostly because, again, they're both classes that I don't gravitate towards normally. I tend to, I play monks. But I also tend to enjoy martial classes a little bit more than casters. Like if I'm playing a caster, I need them to have some martial flavor to them. And both the Minstrel and the Prophet are not really martial focused classes in any way, shape, or form. So I think that's cool. I think because I've played a bard before, which is effectively what the minstrel is, but the prophet just seems kind of unique to the system. So let's go ahead and let's start with a prophet. So instead of starting with our ancestry, we're actually going to start with our class, which is going to be prophet. Now I think I've played the prophet in the tabletop game, and they're actually a decently fun class to play. But they are a craft-based class, and if I remember correctly, the Prophet got a lot of bonuses from getting Warlock quests. If I remember correctly, I can't. It's been a long time since I've played that. Again, I tend to play martial classes, even in a non-RPG. In board games, I do it as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and start off by giving us our starting strength is going to be 2. Starting craft is going to be 4. Our life down here starts out at 9. And what else do we get? Spell points are based on craft. Skills. So I'm going to get deception. Already great for a prophet. Their first skill is deception. I realize it's alphabetical, but if you're going into prophecy, perhaps maybe you shouldn't be good at lying, because the whole point of prophets are you're supposed to trust them. No, it fits with most prophets that you see nowadays. So, so deception, empathy, investigation, lore, where's that I cannot spell at all. Persuasion. There we go. And spell casting. And then you get your choice of decipher or psychic. And you get a focus in spellcasting mystic, as well as a focus in deception or persuasion. So we can put mystic, which is the kind of spells that they cast. So we already have that. Decipher or Psychic? Because Psychic is basically your mind combat. And I think, if I remember correctly, the Prophet may have the ability to instigate Psychic combat with characters that normally have to, you have to fight with melee combat. So I think I just like the idea of a Psychic Prophet, so... Psychic. I like Psychic. I think it's a cool thing. And then, alright, so you get a choice of Decipher, Psychic, I already got that. Gain a focus in Spellcasting Mystic, got that. As well as a focus in Deception or Persuasion. I gotta choose a Deception. Like, gotta choose a Deception focus. I just need to look at Deception real quick. There we go. So Bluff, Confuse, Fast Talk. I totally want Deception, Confuse. Fast Talk might fit a little bit more with the idea of a false prophet, someone that's trying to convince people that they're a prophet when they're not. And for me, that's what Deception would be used for. But Confuse, being able to reliably confuse someone is a remarkably useful skill. I myself have not used this to get a sale. I have used it to discourage a bad purchase from a customer. And in particular, a purchase that was going to cause the customer effectively. I've had people come in back when I used to work in retail. One of the places I worked at was an office supply store. And one of the big things we sold was printers. If anyone knows how printers work, at least like regular people printers, not like the huge commercial ones, but like private. Print companies don't make money off their printers. They make money off of the ink. And because of that, we used to have customers that would come in and go, "What's your cheapest printer?" And I would show them the cheapest printer, and I go, "Is there any particular reason why you're just looking for the cheapest?" Like, well, the ink is so expensive, it's actually more cost effective to just buy a new printer every time it runs out of ink. I'm like, not in any way, shape, or form is that a true statement. Well, what do you mean? I mean, the cartridges that come with the printer are partially full. So you're not even getting a full set of printing. And then depending on the kind of printing that you're doing, you may be wasting 90% of your cartridges anyway. If you only print 1 or 2 times like a month, your ink cartridges are going to dry out depending on the cartridge type. So yeah, if you want to come over here and just buy the cheapest printer ever, you can. You are going to waste crap tons of money. Buy one that's a little more expensive, and the cartridges themselves will last longer. You will get more ink for a better price. So every so often, I would, if someone was trying to kind of bully me into... oh, that's what I did wrong. Here we go. If I had a customer... Which just happened all the time because, again, I was a... Oh, it's the wrong one. I'm going, why didn't that change? That's why. Because, again, for some odd reason, people have this large distrust of salespeople in general, which is completely unfounded. They've done studies on it. Salespeople are some of the are actually the most honest people in most stores. The most dishonest are generally managers, and everyone believes managers over salespeople. I've never understood that. So anyway, like I'd have people that try to bully me and say, "Oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about." I said, "Well, you can think that," and then I would just spout off technobabble from when I was a computer tech. And confusing them was generally good enough to get them to at least stop purchasing something that was going to cause them to come back to the store in like 2 weeks and yell at me. But it's also a really effective method if you are unscrupulous in your sales tactics to get sales. Like if you can confuse your customer, you can get them to buy just about anything. And it's a really, really underhanded, dirty thing, and it doesn't work very long. Like another, I realize we're supposed to be building a character, but I have to talk about this because it's really important. Dishonest salesmen do not make their companies money. They simply don't. what they do is they will make some short-term profit for a very, very short amount of time. And the only way dishonest salesmen can continue to work is they have to constantly get new customers, which forces them to jump between jobs, because your customer base you will eventually go through the customer base that would naturally come to your store, and they won't work with you. As soon as you lie to them, they won't work with you anymore. So dishonest salesmen have to jump between jobs constantly to be able to keep working, because they poison the well everywhere they go. And as soon as they leave, or as soon as they exhaust their customer supply, the business that might have been making money off of them in the short term loses a crap ton of money in the long term. So dishonest salesmen in general do not last very long. And the ones that do have to hop between jobs and between companies and things like that, because they simply can't stay in the same place for very long. So anyway, so yeah, being able to confuse your people that you're trying to manipulate is remarkably good. And that's kind of, I have decided that this prophet is going to 100% be a false prophet and just be like a charlatan style character. I don't know why I've decided this. It just seems cool. So that's what we're going to do. So we've got that. We got all that. Core features. There are 2 core features. We have Mystic Spellcasting and Hour of Need. So we're going to go down here, go Special Abilities. We're going to go Mystic Spellcasting, which we'll deal with that in a little bit, and then Hour of Need. And Hour of Need we might actually describe in here. You have an uncanny gift for being in the right place at the right time. When a character you can see rolls a test, you can use an action to assist as if you had a relevant skill. Instead of using a skill, you use your craft for the assist. That's kind of cool. So I can just go use action to assist as if you have a skill. Use craft. And then again, to show where things end, we're using semicolons. There we go. So, cool. That's an interesting thing. And then I get to choose one of the following special abilities. Why no mortal may speak, or shrouded to truths. Game Master's discretion to decipher wits test may grant you additional clues as to the meaning of a vision. Game Master, you spend 2 things at an hour or 2 spell points to witness a prophetic vision. Not like that. You see prophetic clear in their meaning, but you're unable to speak of what you learn and communicate it directly through writing. You can otherwise act so long as you do not speak or otherwise communicate it. Interesting. So both what no mortals may speak and shrouded truths are effectively, this character actually gets prophetic visions. What no mortal may speak effectively means you're never allowed to tell anyone of the visions that you get, and if you do, you lose all your light fate, and the game master gets an equal amount of dark fate, minimum of 3 dark fate, and you can't receive visions for a day. 2 light fate or 2 spell points and 2 light to bring on a prophetic vision to answer a single question being answered with a yes or no. Okay, so the way that this works, and I think I'm going to go with what no mortal may speak. So effectively, how this works is I get visions. So the game master has to give me visions every so often, but I can't tell anyone about them. I can't communicate in writing. I can take actions based on them, but I'm not allowed to say why I'm taking the actions or anything, which I think is a really, really interesting thing. And I think it fits really well with the Deception Confuse skill that I chose, because, and hear me out. So if I know things are going to happen, and if I ever tell somebody of it, I lose light fate. Bad things happen because the dungeon master gets dark fate, and but bad things happen if I tell anyone. So the ability to lie to people about what I'm doing and confuse them so that they don't really know what I'm doing would be essential in being able for me to use my visions to change the world and things like that. Like that's a really, really important thing. So yeah, I love that idea. And then in addition, if I want to force a vision where I just haven't gotten a vision recently, I can burn 2 light fate and an hour, or burn 2 spell points into light fate, and I get a vision that will answer a yes or no question. So all that really interesting from a character perspective. So let's work backwards now. We need to choose an ancestry for this. I kind of like the idea of a ley walker, which is basically they are kind of forest humanoids, like nature people. So to read the description, the ley walkers are manifestations of the inherent magic of the realm. Also known as children of the portal, they are deeply connected to the magical webs of power that crisscross the realm. So they are kind of a magical race and everything, or ancestry. So I think that kind of fits in. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to go ancestry. We're going to go, what is it again? Ley walker. Here we go. And then we're going to have to choose a background. Character modifiers. Increase the maximum for wits or insight to 7. So wits or insight. If I remember correctly, I want to real quick go to the spellcasting, because scrolls, casting a scroll, spell type, arcane, mystic nature. They told me, how did this work? Oh, it's probably in the profit part. So my mystic, okay. 3 mystic spells. Memorize number spell equal to craft +1. You've chosen your spell. Select one to be enduring. Spell points equal to your craft. Does it not tell me what I use for my spellcasting? Maybe it's under skills. It's been almost a week since I built my last character, so you have to forgive me where I'm going over things that I probably talked about in the very, the video just before this one. Spellcasting, there we go. Insight for mystic, resolve for nature. So insight is going to be my spellcasting ability, which is good to know. So we're going back to ley walker. So increase the maximum of wits or insight to 7. So I think I'm going to increase insight because that's my spellcasting. So we're going to go here, insight cap 7. Bonus skill, gain the psychic or lore skill. And basic rules are, if you gain a skill that you already have, you can just choose a different skill, or you can choose a focus. And I might... You know what? I think I'm going to go, instead of like min-maxing this totally, I think I'm just going to choose lore. Because what I was thinking of doing is, instead of getting psychic, I would get the psychic attack focus, so that any psychic attacks that I make are more powerful. But I'm not going to min-max this one. And lore makes sense for a prophet. A prophet should know lore. So that's cool. And then there's 3 backgrounds. There's Gatekeeper, Wayfinder, and Lion Runner. I get a +1 to resolve with Gatekeeper. Wayfinder gets a +1 to wits. Lion Runner gets a +1 to insight, which would be using. Gain the spellcasting skill. Instead of 1 soul rune spell, see below, you begin with 2. And oh, Oh, this is kind of cool. So, Soul Rune is a special ability of the Leywalker where they basically have spells tattooed as runes on their body. And normally you would get one, but the Line Runner gets two, which is cool. Wayfinder gets the survival. Okay, and then Gatekeeper gets the Tinker. I think I'm going to go with Line Runner because it just makes the most sense. Okay, and then for special abilities, I'm about to sneeze. Or not. As soon as you say it, it goes away. Alright, so first thing I get is Soul Rune. I get two of them. And I'm going to leave a little space because we'll pick our Soul Rune spells. Soul Run. No, I want Soul Rune. We'll choose our Soul Rune spells when we choose the rest of our spells at the end here. So we've got that. And then Ley Line Walker. Interesting. So I can choose either Leyline Walker. Oh, so I get to. This is a choice thing. So I may not choose that. So Leyline Walker, Magic Sense, or Magic Nature. Leyline Walker, basically, I can create a portal anchor where I just boom. I do this thing, and then the anchor lasts until the next new moon. So basically, it lasts for a month, a lunar month, but a month. Anytime as a full action, I can just teleport to that anchor, and there's no limitation as length or anything. So that could be really, really good. You know, you create a portal anchor at home base or something like that, and it costs 3 light fate to create a portal anchor, and then anytime I teleport, I have to burn a light fate, and then I can bring another person with me for each additional light fate this is spent. And then you can have a number of active portal anchors equal to half your craft. So as of right now, I could have 2 portal anchors in places, which I think would be really interesting. Magic Sense, on the other hand, is finding the signal a lower wits test against difficulty 14. Okay, that's it. So Magic Sense is basically the Identify spell for free. And then Magic Nature. So Magic Nature basically gives me extra spell points, and I can use them for other stuff too. So I can use them to cast spells, but after you attack and deal damage, you can use each one to add a d6 of psychic damage. So I can kind of use them as kind of smite dice effectively, which I think is kind of cool. I think I like Magic Nature. I like the idea of a and if anyone's wondering why I just put 2 zeros there, this is actually what I used to do in DnD for my I guess that works too, but I could this is actually what I used to do to keep track of my key points when I used to play in person, because I would because before I had the tremor, my handwriting was atrocious. And so I would type all of my character sheets for the Adventures League. And so for like Monk, where I had key that would constantly be getting, I would get more, I would use it, and then it would get refilled and use it refilled. I would just put a circle for each point of key I had. And then when I was playing, I would just take a pencil and fill in each circle as I burned the key. And then whenever we took a short rest, I would just erase it, and the printed ink underneath it would stay. And so I wouldn't have to constantly be, erasing tick marks or doing math and stuff like that. It was just like, oh look, I have circles. So that's what that is. That's just what I've done for years when I have limited resources. So we're just gonna do that. I like that. I think that's cool. So we've got that. So that is, other than, again, we have to choose our our soul rune stuff, which we'll do in a little bit. Because I like doing spells at the end, because then you have everything else done. So we're done with that. We're done with that. Next thing we do. We choose alignment. I like the idea of being... You know what? I like the idea of being evil. And again, I'm going to preface this by the idea of an evil character. And it even says this in here, which is something I like, because Dungeons and Dragons describes the good-evil dichotomy really poorly, and leans into a really bad definition of good and evil, is where good people do good things and evil people do evil things. Well, by that definition, everything is subjective, and you can't really use that as a way to figure out your character's motivations. However, they say here, evil characters tend to be more focused on their own self-interests, as in, what's in this for me? In a world as dangerous as the realm, though, self-interest often equates to survival, so characters with evil alignment can be found fighting against darks side by side with those of good or neutral alignment. And that is 100% a real thing. There are people that are very self-motivated, that on the alignment grid would be in the evil alignment, that still do good things. Like, evil people can do good things and good people can do evil things. So defining someone entirely by a single action or even a group of actions as whether they are an evil person or a good person doesn't make sense. But the idea of evil being selfish, being very self-motivated, makes sense. And I like the idea of a prophet that is extremely self-motivated. That's where the deception and confusion comes in. All that stuff is really built around the idea of this is a character that's always looking for what is going to benefit them the most. And it doesn't mean that they will never help anyone else. I mean, anyone with half a brain can realize that things like rising tide rises all ships. You know, good things happening to other people doesn't mean that good things won't happen to you. And truly smart, self-focused individuals will understand that by helping others, they are helping themselves. I like that idea. So we got our alignment. Let's go assign your attributes. Choose strength or craft. Add 1 point to that attribute. I'm going to increase my craft by 1, so I like that. And then multiply strength by 2 and craft by 2. So we have 4 points in here. I think I'm going to go 1 for brawn, 2 for agility, 1 for metal. Because I like to be a little bit more flexible and be able to get out of the way of bad things happening. In craft, I've got 10. So I definitely want at least a 5 in my insight. And then I think a 3 and a 2 for my wits and resolve. Because I want insight. And again, not just that insight is my spellcasting, but again, from someone that used to work in sales and in just customer service in general, insight is an extremely useful tool to be able to do a lot of different things. And especially if you want to lie to people, you need to be able to read them really well. So I like the idea of insight being my highest thing here. Stop it. So we've got that. And I can get 2 additional skills or focuses of my choice. And then I get max load and speed. So 2 additional skills or focuses. So I'm going to go back to the skills chapter and look at kind of the stuff we can do. So skills. So right now I've got deception, empathy, investigation, lore, persuasion, spellcasting with a focus in mystic, psychic, and lore. I like having focuses. Like I think that makes things more fun. So I'm gonna check and see what would be an interesting. Well, what other psychic focuses are? Let's do that. Attack, banish, defense. Wit is used in making a psychic attack, but insight is used in making a defense action. Ooh, wits is psychic attacks. I think then I'm gonna go 4. 4, 2. Make that a little bit easier because that's still 10. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better. But I want a focus in defense. So I can do psychic attacks, but my real specialty is not getting hit by psychic attacks. So I like that. I think that's cool. And then I want something in lore. Lore is cool. Ancestries, history, magic. Let's go. I like the idea of lore magic. So if we're talking about, you know, this is the prophet that when, you know, magic stuff is going on, they're like, well, I did once know that there was all this magic over here, and then in the old times, the magic was used this way, and I like that. I like that kind of character where it's like, oh, this is weird. Cool. So we've got that. Let's go back to character. Not advanced special abilities. Choose alignment. Final touches. And then max load is strength times 5. So my max load is 10 on this character. So life is going to be 9 plus. And since we are level 1, I think this is how, I don't think I did this on my other character correctly. Because we are level 1. Stop it. So 9 plus resolve plus 1. So it'd be 11, that'd be 12. We got 12. Speed's going to be, what is that? Speed is 10 plus agility. So speed is 12. I still don't know these things here. Psychic damage and physical damage modifier. I'm not 100% certain. We'll deal with that in a second because we're going to get our equipment in a second here. And then max load is 10. And then for the prophet equipment, we get a mace or a flail. I like flails. Fun fact, we have no evidence in any of our historical record that flails were ever used on the battlefield. They look to be mostly ceremonial things, but they just look really cool, so I like it. So we've got flail, we've got a sling. Can I not type without capitalizing two things? Stones. 10 stones. Leather armor. Sacred scrolls. Divining crystal. No, I want cards. Divining cards. I like cards. And then pen and ink. Oh, and I forgot. Because then I can do the load stuff. So we do it this way. Sling with stones. Leather armor. Sacred skulls, sign card, pen and ink. We're going to put all that in one thing. Because that's where they left it here. And then prayer book. Prayer candles. 5. And a healing potion. Which I think you're going to put the healing potion on its own line. Okay. Got that. And then haversack, bedroll, tinderbox, mess kit, water bottle, censer, incense. We got that. And then a pouch with, give me my dice. I get a D6 plus 1 gold. Starting off, so we're going to have 3, so that's 4 gold. 4 gold. It helps if I put a space we're supposed to. I'm not going to play with load right now because I find that mind-numbingly boring, and my last one of these videos was an hour, and I didn't want that, and I still have to pick spells. I need to stop choosing spellcasters. So we've got everything except our spells. So let's go choose spells. So if I go back to classes real quick and do my prophet, I get 3 spells, right? Yeah. So you have 3 spells, and one of them is enduring. And then I also have the 2 spells from my runes that just always get to come back. So we'll have to... Oh, and spell points is equal to my craft. So that's 5. I've got 5 spell points. Cool. Let's choose some spells and get done with this. So spells, spells, spells. So for mystic spells, I need 3 basic mystic spells. We have Augury, Bless, Bolster, Craft, Curse of Flame. We had Curse of Flame in our last one. I like that. Healing seems like just a useful spell in general. I'm going to make sure it's exactly what I think it is before I take it. But another curse, you choose yourself or one injured target. And success, you heal a d6 of life or 1 wound. Cool. So yeah, we are going to go spell. First spell is going to be healing. Gotta have healing. Healing is just far too easy, or far too useful. What else we got? I'd like some sort of attack-based spell if I can. Slow motion seems like something that might be useful. It's not an attack, quote-unquote, but... Let's look, since I'm looking for this anyway. You can harness destructive energy to destroy an object. Choose a non-magical object, weapon, or piece of armor that's visible and small enough that it could be carried by a single individual. Shatters become useless. The item is being held. Difficulty or spell that creature's threat. So shatter could be used to literally destroy armor and weapons on enemies. But slow motion... I think I like slow motion better because it's basically creature's threats reduced by 2, and PC suffer -2 penalty at all combat-related tests they attempt. So it's a very, very useful slow motion. I like that. What else? Sleep is looking nice to me. Marked for Glory is a new one for Mystic. What does that do? Marked for Glory. This is kind of cool. You can bless someone with Divine Providence. If you fail, or if another creature or ally you can see fails a test of any kind, you can cast a spell as a reaction. On a success, the target can replace any of the dice rolled, except the Kismet dice, with a 6. Character only or other ally can only benefit from Marked Glory once per day. That is massively useful. So we're going to go Marked Glory. Very, very useful. And then I need my 2 soul runes. Now, for the Prophet, I had to choose off the Mystic spell list. For my soul runes, I can choose them off of anything. So, like, one of the nature spells is Lightning Bolt. We haven't played with... I like Psionic Blast. What is Psionic Blast? I like the name Psionic Blast. I have no idea what it does. You can combine a melee ranged attack with a simultaneous Psychic Assault. On a success, the target's next ranged melee attack receives a +1 bonus. The target attack is to add the attacker's craft to the damage. Oh, so it's just like a... kind of a smite kind of thing. It wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be. I think I'm going to choose Lightning Bolt, if for no other reason than it'd be nice to have an attack spell. I just need to read it. Alright, you can... Oh, man. Alright, you can shape the lightning bolt. Choose an enemy you can see. On a success, target takes Damage equal to 1d6 plus craft. And rolling a crit caused the target to be stunned. I like Lightning Bolt. We're going to put Lightning Bolt Soul Rune. So we know that that's one of my Sissa Soul Runes. And then the other one... Hermina, because it can be any basic spell that I want. I like this. A Cloak of Shadows, I think would be very useful. So Cloak of Shadows. It's basically, you cast as a free action, and on a success, any damage the target would take as a result of a ranged or melee attack is halved until the start of your next turn. So it's a little thing to just make it easier for you to not get hurt. And as far as a Soul Rune is concerned, like that to me makes a lot of sense as something that would kind of work with a Lightning Bolt. Like, just you naturally have this ability to protect yourself either by attacking or by getting shadows around you to defend yourself. So I kind of like that. And then we just need to choose which one's going to be enduring. And I think Marked Glory is going to be my enduring one. Because that's the one, if it gets burned, you get to get it back. And then, yeah, that's really it. I mean, we could play around with, like, weapons if we... Because I haven't... Equipment. There we go. So I need to see what I would do as far as flail. So it's brawn 1d6 plus 2, and it's two-handed. So we're going to just go... Just so I have something here. And the attack bonus is going to be my brawn, which is 1. It's plus 1. And the damage is 1d6 plus 2. There we go. So we have the flail, and then we can put the sling in here too. All right. 5 meters, 4 meters. So sling, I'm going to put the range as 5/40. So I know that. Attack bonus is going to be plus 2 because they use agility for that, right? And then, yeah, it does 1d3 damage. 1d3. Cool. So, oh, and leather. So we got leather armor, and leather armor gives me 3 protection. Boom, boom, boom. So 3 protection. Cool. So I think we've got everything we need here. The only thing we're missing is a name. So what do we want to call this lay walker, line walk runner prophet? Depending on the campaign, this may not work, but I really like the idea of something like this mystical, and that just being something like Judd. The name's Judd. Oh, Judd is dead. This is Judd the Prophet. And yeah, kind of the story I've built around this guy is technically, yes, he does get visions and things like that, but he claims to have a lot more visions than he actually does. And whenever he's called out, he uses his vast knowledge of kind of magical lore to kind of confuse people and go, well, you know, and then due to the fact that he's relatively empathetic, he can tell when people are believing him, and is good at and has decent insight skills. He generally can tell when people are believing him or not, and so it helps him to kind of maneuver his deception. So yeah, overall, again, I think it's an interesting character. Again, the kind of lack of customization built into the system had me a little bit worried. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make more than one character before getting unbelievably bored with it. But thus far, despite the fact that I made another dang spellcaster, I think it's a cool character, and I would have fun playing this character. I still don't 100% understand how all of combat works. But it's cool and interesting. And I don't know why a flail is two-handed, because the whole point of a flail, so the theory behind the flail was that because shields were just super, super useful in warfare. Like, they were an amazing, amazing advantage. And they were constantly trying to find ways around them. So the theory of the flail is that you could swing it, but you wouldn't try and hit the shield itself. You would try to swing it around so it could go around the shield, and because it was flexible, it could go around the shield and, break their arm, damage the shield from behind, which the shield wasn't technically designed to take impacts from that side. It's still going to take quite a bit of damage from there before you can break anything. But that was the whole point, is you could get around the shield with the flail. A two-handed flail would make that significantly more difficult. So I don't understand that. Most flails I've been aware of have always been single-handed, unless you're talking about they had flexible weapons in China. They had tons of them. They had 3-section staff, and they had basically a two-handed flail-like thing that I can't remember what it was called. But they were remarkably difficult to learn. And so they were very... I don't know if we have any... I don't know if we have any evidence of them ever being used in anything outside of kind of martial arts. Not really sport combat, because that wasn't really a thing back when these weapons were being used. But combat between martial artists was a very, very common thing, where they weren't trying to kill each other. So you could technically call that sport, though it wasn't quite on the level of what we consider, combat sports now. Anyway, so yeah, that is Judd, our sneaky prophet. So that's gonna be all for me today. As always, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, turn notifications on. All those things are super, super important in the comments down below. Have you ever made an evil character? And if so, let us know what chose you to make an evil character. If you've never made an evil character, why not? Why don't you want to play an evil character? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, it is all for me today, and I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.